Bender Wins channel. How is it going, everyone? It's been quite a while, and I apologize for that, but I've had some major life changes that now allow me way more time to be making content like this and giving out more free picks. And if you're a part of the Bender Wins Facebook channel, I will be diving a little bit more into the MLB, learning the sport, and just kind of sharing my journey in that as well. So as we get into the playoffs, we're ending the regular season, and we've had a huge month in the Hockey Squirrel full card. We've won 21 days and lost 6 in the last month and made, I believe, just over 21 units. I've got a couple games here today to give out. 2 for sure, and the third one I might slide in there for you guys at the end, just as a little celebration of the end of the regular season here. So let's hop into the first game, and we've got the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. You can see Bobrovsky is confirmed, which is my initial interest in this game. As long as Vasilevsky is confirmed, which I'm using dailyfaceoff.com to check that. There's a tab at the top of this called Starting Goalies. You can click on that, and this will turn to a green check mark if he's been confirmed. This is kind of a necessity if you're going to bet this game, but I like the value, especially if we can grab him. So let's hop into the lineups. And offensively, this is pretty much what I would expect from the Lightning. We're still missing Kucherov and Stamkos, which are kind of big hits, but they've still been pulling it off with this core group of guys. Ross Colton's been good. Matthew Joseph's been good since being introduced to the team. Cirelli's really stepped up. Braden Point's been excellent. So offensively, these guys can score. This isn't my number one point of interest in this particular lineup. The defensive pairings today is where I think you're really going to get your biggest edge on the Florida Panthers. Victor Hedman is number one or very, very close to it in terms of defensemen in the entire league, whether that's statistically or just his ability to, play as a defenseman and score, make passes, assists. He just kind of does it all. He's a big body, huge dude, and great skating. On top of that, you've got the Savard trade from the Blue Jackets. I think he's been a great fit. Sergachev's been a huge role. McDonough's a known name. So you've got great pairings in the defense, and this is a defensive team. That's kind of what they pride themselves on, especially with Vasilevsky and net. You've got a much better goalie than Bobrovsky today, if that's a confirmation. So I really, really like this game at minus 115 is what you can grab it at right now, I'm pretty sure. Let's look at the Panthers lineup. The weapons you need to be afraid of are basically everybody on this first line in terms of speed, and especially Barkov in terms of scoring. Verhaeghe as well. Just, they're all super fast. What you're kind of seeing is this team has been pretty much a 2-line stack, and they've kind of given up some depth on the bottom half throughout the season, and I think this is an attempt at maybe experimenting a little bit as we get into playoff time. I really don't like the wingers on the fourth line here with Achari. I would honestly move down Sam Bennett, but I think that this is kind of a tester game, as it's going to be a bit of a preview as to what we're going to see in the playoffs. Defensive pairings, though, I think this is where you're going to get your biggest edge. We know the names, Forsling and Mackenzie Weegar, Keith Yandel. We lost Ekblad to a leg injury, though, and I don't think that this team has been quite the same since then. They lost, a big presence in leadership due to that injury, and when you have a worse defensive pairing against a team like the Lightning and you're putting Bobrovsky in net, especially against Vasilevsky, I think they're going to have a hard time scoring here today. And if the Lightning can even pull off a couple goals, I think that their defense and their goaltending is really going to win it for them. Tampa Bay's on a back-to-back. They did just play last night to the Dallas Stars. They lost, and so they will be traveling, but both teams are in Florida, so it's not a very far travel for the Lightning to make. And speaking of the Dallas Stars, that brings us to the next game, which is the Carolina Hurricanes against the Nashville Predators. And why the Dallas Stars play into this is because of their win last night. It puts Nashville into a position of potentially losing their playoff spot to Dallas, because Dallas has 2 games left now against Chicago Blackhawks, and if they win out and Nashville is unable to beat the Hurricanes, then they will lose their the playoff spot. So I would 100% expect Saros in net today. Not too sure who to expect for the Hurricanes. Nedeljkovic would probably make sense, but even at that, he's still an outstanding goalie. I love the Hurricanes in terms of depth. I've talked about them pretty much all season. And the only thing you're missing on the Hurricanes is Cedric Paquette, who's a fourth-line wing. And on this team, I guess I can see why he's a fourth-line wing, but he's definitely a top 2-line winger for a lot of teams. And that speaks to the depth of the Hurricanes throughout the season. But this is 100% the better team. Through defensive pairings, through offensive lineups, and even really the goaltending, I guess. Saros is really good goalie, but in terms of backup and depth at goaltending at that position, it's an absolute steal to get the Hurricanes. And if people are going to bet down this line only on the backstory that the Predators have to win in order to clinch their playoff spot, I don't really care for the matchup in terms of offensive and defensive players and the goaltending and all that. I think the Hurricanes are 6-0 against this team. I don't think they've beat Carolina once this year. The narrative kind of is that the Hurricanes have already clinched the first top spot in their division, so what is there to play for? And I can understand that. I understand that it's becoming do or die for the Predators, and they're going to have to come out and prove themselves that they want to go to the playoffs. But I'm not totally sure that I trust the team, and at minus 125 now, or minus 130, you wouldn't have dreamed of getting that line at any other point in the season. So on a pure value basis, I may lose this game, but I still would not take the Predators at whatever, plus 120. I think there's better spots for underdogs today, and this just isn't a place that I trust this team to come out and win. The only really motivating factor is the playoffs, and if they can be a good enough team and make passes and get the puck in the net on the Hurricanes, then they can have my money, I guess, because they earned it. But this isn't something I'm willing to bet on today. So I will take the Hurricanes and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I'm going to give one underdog spot here today, but it's going to have to be confirmed on Jake Allen as well as the goalie. They're all the way up to plus 190 on the money line, or you could take the puck line plus 1.5. I think it's minus 130 or below, and if you were to do implied odds on that, let's see here, plus 190 gives you 34.5% to win the game. So these are the kinds of games you go into not totally expecting to win the game, but the value is there enough that I know this team can score. I know that they have scored on the Maple Leafs, and I know that they can win against the Maple Leafs. We've picked up Cole Caulfield from Wisconsin. If you were able to watch any of the NCAA tournament, he's won some awards, and just an absolute goal scorer. He's only 5'7". He's like 165, but he's already come in clutch a couple times for this team. Tyler Toffoli's in today. Tomas Tatar is in today. They stand a chance at winning the game. Is this any kind of a lock, or there is no lock, obviously, but no, it's not like a guaranteed win, like this is such high probability. It's exactly the opposite. It's a low probability, but that's why you're getting good odds. As long as Jake Allen's in today, I don't really mind the pick. Yeah, we're going against Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, John Tavares. We're going against really good players and a decent defensive pairing, especially if Jack Campbell is in net today. It's probably worst case scenario that Jack Campbell's in today. But at plus 190 on a money line where you cover yourself in OT, they still need to clinch. They're 10 points up on the next team, which is the Calgary Flames, I'm pretty sure. But I like this spot almost better than the Predators, to be honest, at plus 190, where they have a chance at securing their playoff spot, and they've got good depth. And I've seen the Maple Leafs throw some seriously bad games against, I think, the Canucks and some other teams they just shouldn't be losing against, like the Ottawa Senators. So with a team that's prone to throwing some games, and they're at the top of the division, kind of the same reason people are taking the Predators today, because they think that the Hurricanes are just going to come out and not try because they're in the lead, in number one in the division. What do they have to play for? I'm sort of taking that mentality on this game, but I almost like the spot a little better than the Predators. But I guess we'll see what happens, and that's going to be the free pick video today. So I will be back with more of these as the regular season winds down here and we get into the playoffs. But good luck today, everyone, and have a lucky day.